Okay, so welcome back. We are starting from the topic we left. We were doing unit 4, okay, of paper 2. And for those who don't know, we are doing anthropology. So basically in the first video of that short video that we made, and we had to stop it because of some technical things. Now we are going to start from the scratch. We start with this thing, LP Vidyarthi. And then he divided the we're doing this growth and development of anthropology. So he basically divided it from 1774 to 1990, then 1920 to 1949, and from 1949 onwards. Basically these are the years, and LP Vidyarthi has divided the anthropology in these 3 phases. He calls it as formative, constructive, and analytical. Alright, so this is something about him. Next thing that we are going to do over here is that when we are actually thinking about studying this topic, we have to understand that every second, third year there is a question from this unit. Majoritarily the question is from Indian anthropology, and every year you will have question on this particular topic based on a scholar. Okay, that on every year you will find this thing. You can check the last 2 years paper, 3 years paper, and you will find that there is a question from this unit. So this is not just a unit which will bore you down, but this will be an unit which will basically make you realize that who these anthropologists were and what their contributions are. So we are going to discuss a lot of anthropologists like Vidyarthi, Sankalia, Mazumdar, S.C. Roy, Dubey, B.K. Roy, Burman, all these scholars which are important, Iravati Karve for that matter, we are going to discuss. Now we have to learn these individual things. What do I mean by formative, what is constructive, what is analytical, and after that there is an evaluative. Okay, so what are these things? Because there can be a separate 10 marker question that can come, like short marker, 10 markers, formative phase of anthropology or constructive phase of anthropology. So you have to write it down. Now, as you people know, anthropology was something which was been given by Britishers, and Britishers wanted to do basically be a good colonizer, and they wanted to reduce the resistance. And the best way to do is by understanding the people, what our beliefs are, what are the things that we fear, what are the things that we expect do. So in that way Britishers learnt it, and the formative phase was kind of a phase where they actually collected a lot of information on us, and that is how they were able to colonize us, because for that matter there were just handful of Britishers and our people. So it was like our people could have left them at any moment, but they realized what we don't have, and they exactly gave that particular thing, and we were colonized for 200 years. So formative anthropology is mostly a phase which represent the beginning and strengthening of the colonization, and this is the time when it was on its peak. This is a time when we say that the disintegration definitely started after, say, Surat incidents or this Bengal's partition, but this was a year you can see that Britishers were still on their mighty power. Now, as I've already told you, this is a very important unit. I'm going to refer to my notes so that I do not miss anything and we get a perfect picture over here. So when it comes to the formative phase, now a few things that I'm going to write down, what were the significant things which happened over here. So first thing was Asiatic Society of Bengal. Okay, this was something 1774 under William Jones. So these were the things which actually happened over there. Then we see that this was basically emphasis were given on tribes, because if you know, if you have gone through GS1 and you have done history, you will realize that this period also coincides with various tribal and peasant movement. And this was actually, this ASB actually did a lot of effort to have a study on this particular thing, tribes, and how they can better exploit them. The next was the ethnographical writing, of course. Okay, then there were work of administrators, then the missionaries. All right, so these were certain sort of what do I say is people, organization, and ways in which this phase was actually concretized. Now I am going to write down certain names of the scholars. Okay, you can even add some travelers over here. Okay, travelers. Then there are a lot of, say, gadgets, notification. Okay, then various other journals. Okay, and people also certain, for example, for that matter, Das. Okay, he used genealogy method. That is the next part of it, that was that is in the analytical and constructive phase. But what I'm here is like Das used this method, that is genealogy, that a family diagram was set, and they actually studied the history, and we're going to do this particular part in the constructive phase. So this is one part. Now they basically went for monograph. Okay, after that they went for ethnologic study. Okay, these are some words that you have to write down, and you are going to write it down, and then you are going to make a bracket out of it, so that when when checker is seeing this thing, he just simply looks at it and he understands that this person is having certain sort of knowledge on this thing. Okay, the name of the other topic, other scholar is for that matter Risley, S.C. Roy. Okay, then we have Dalton, we have Singer, then we have Russell, etc. These are a certain name of the scholars which were there. Even there is Briggs. Briggs is important because he studied Chamar community. Then there is Gurdon. Okay, and Mills. So these are the name of scholars. Now if you'll ask me whether you have to remember all these names, I would tell you, if you can, you must, because these makes a difference of around 1 mark. So that is something that you have to remember. You are going to keep this in mind and never going to forget it. Okay, so if we move forward, then this phase was all about building, right? So people were going and they were studying individual tribes. These people were studying why there is a resistance, how sort of their traditions are, how we can push our way through it. So this was basically a phase where anthropology was collecting data. That data was not systematic back then. It was just a random data that they'll collect and they'll put it down and then study and analyze and come to a conclusion which was used for administrative purposes. Okay, so which was used basically for the administrative purposes. Now see, actually the thing is, we have to understand it in a way UPC asks questions, right? So there have been a question on American anthropologist, short note on American anthropologist, and in here only we will do a short notes on British anthropologist. Now this is not going to be a short question, because in order to understand, we have to write down some name of the scholars, and while we'll move forward, we will cover each one of them. Some will come in a detail, some will not come in a detail. 1 or 2 line will be enough, but you have to remember all these people, because these people have certain contribution as far as the anthropology as an institution is concerned. For example, for that matter, W.H.R. Rivers, okay, he was a classical evolutionist, okay, and he was someone who said a lot of stuff that he was actually the British, and he said some illogical things. He went to Egypt, and he saw that Egyptian civilization was a way ahead of the time. That may be true, but he said that that is the place of its origin, and only from there it's he used this word, okay, only. He went for absolutization, and that is not something which is entertained in anthropology. So reverse is done, okay. Then there is Hutton, okay. Next is Brown and Seligman and Brown. For that matter, Seligman studied Vedas, okay, and Brown, he basically, Radcliffe Brown, he studied Andamanis, okay. Rivers and Hutton have also made certain contribution to Indian anthropology, and we are going to deal with it in the further part of it. But you are going to write down the name of these few scholars, because if you know this thing, because we are going to have him discuss in anthropological theories. Hutton will be discussed in the same unit. Seligman will be doing it during the institution of marriage, okay, that is chapter 1, paper 1, and Radcliffe Brown is going to be with us for a long time of journey. So we are going to cover this thing. You have to make sure that you remember that these were Britishers. Now moving to American anthropology, there is Opler, okay, then Oscar Levy, okay, then it's Gould. I am not sure whether it's Harold, yeah, Harold Gould, okay, and these are one. Then we can say this one, Robert Redfield. We have completed unit 3. You can go and check it out. Folk urban culture, okay. Folk urban culture he has studied, which LP Vidyarthi used it for tribe caste continuum, okay. Folk urban continuum, tribe caste continuum. So that is the Robert Redfield. Oscar Lewis, Opler, for that matter, Milton Singer, okay. Then Mackie Marriott, of course. Unit 5 basically will talk about her, about this particular character. Milton Singer, same will be doing in unit 5, paper 2. Oscar Lewis and Opler, these will also be covered over there, because you people have studied Jajmani system, right? If not, go back and complete it first. Jajmani system. So in Jajmani system, Oscar Lewis went for a study to see whether the institution is exploitative or not. When he came back, he realized that this is some shady thing. That is all about American anthropologists. These people have given certain contribution to Indian anthropologists. So whenever the question comes, you're going to write two, three sentence on each one of them, and what is their contribution as far as India is concerned. So that is good. Then there is Oscar Lewis. We have completed. All right, let me just see if I have missed something. Okay, nothing. So that is something you have to remember, and this is all about American anthropologist and British anthropologist whose contribution are important to Indian anthropology. So this is the same thing. Now see, there are some scholars, okay. So Riesler is there. You people know he was actually the census commissioner. He was census commissioner, okay. So he went for the people of India. And he came up with a classification, okay, a racial classification. Okay, and this is something which is very important. So you have already made a video. I have made the video on this particular thing, so that will be publishing soon. So you will have Riesler's contribution to racial classification discussed over there. So this thing is over then. Now we are going to discuss a little bit of debate which came in the constructive phase. So this particular phase of formulative phase is done. So this is something that Britishers, Americans and everyone contributed to India. Need, you have to understand what was the need: colonization, okay, and administration, and resistance को कैसे कम करना है, how to reduce the resistance. So this is all about the formulative. Now we move to constructive phase. Now this ethnology was converted to ethnography. Okay. Now earlier what used to happen is that this is for example, this is a tribe. So there was a complete study on this. Now the thing is that this study will be holistic, complete as well as comparative. So that becomes ethnography. Okay. Next, most important thing about this constructive phase is debate, which happened between Gore and Verrier Elvin. Now this debate was all about what to do with tribe. Okay, that what we are going to do with tribe, because these were the people who were not similar. Okay, these were the people who were not different. These were the people who were there, but no one actually knew their existence or beginning, end, and etc. So what to do with them? So Verrier Elvin, he was basically a Christian missionary. Okay, so he came to India and soon he was moved by the plight of tribe and he left this thing and he became anthropologist. This is brief about Verrier Elvin. So what he said: isolationist approach. Now what do I mean by isolationist approach is that he said these tribals, these are separate entity, these are a different community, and they should be kept separate, isolated, and should not be assimilated, and government or any people should not encroach on them. So he was basically suggesting some institution like national park for tribes, national park for this thing, and this was his idea all the time. The next thing is the debate. Of course, Gore said that these are nothing. Hindus, Hindus should include them. That is what Gore said. They said that he was basically assimilative school. He said let's assimilate them in the main society. Even Hutton, now we have studied Hutton over here, if you remember just last slide. So Hutton said that the tribals are backward Hindus. Okay, so this is what the Hutton says. So yes, all about that. Okay, so this is all about him. So, and this is all about debate. If you are going to interview, a question will come like, what was this debate? Okay, so origin of caste debate, Aryan and Dravidian debate, and this third debate, Gore and Verrier Elvin debate. These are the questions which are generally asked in interview. My friend last year went to interview and he told me that this was the first question that came to him. So this is it. So I hope the things are covered. I'm going to write down the name of other scholars in this phase, such as D.N. Mazumdar. I'm going to write everything down. Okay, I will not be providing any notes to it. As of now, I'm not going to provide any notes. So you have to write it down, whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm writing, and you have to study from the book and then come back over here, and then you people will be done. M.N. Srinivas, D.N. Mazumdar, M.N. Srinivas. Then we have Varian Elwell. We have Gore. Okay. We have Hemmendorf. We have N.K. Bose. So these are the name of some scholars that actually are important. Then here journal was there, Man in India. Man in India. So you're going to write the name of this journal as well, because if a question comes from any of the phase, you're going to write this name, journal Man in India, and then you're going to write what you want to write. If as much as it should be relevant to anthropology, you can write anything, because this is one of the holistic book, and if you touch it, you will realize that whatever you say is already in this book when it comes to anthropology. Then Hutton we already have talked. The last phase about this was the analytical phase. Okay, so now what do I mean by this is, now we have formulated, then we have constructed. Now the third step should be focusing on analytical method, because the thing is that we do seek this thing. Okay, we want it to collect the data, then utilize it in any other way, and it is only possible if we are able to analyze it, and this analyzation come from this particular phase, that is analytical phase. So we can write it down like American influence and etc., but there are certain case studies which I want you to write it down. Okay, this is American. Okay, American anthropology. So Red Zal. So he went to UP and he studied Khalapur. Okay, then we have this Harold Gold. Okay, so American again. Harold Gold went to Faridabad. Okay, the third one is the Harper. For example, Harper, he went and studied Mysore. Okay, I'm writing down all the name. Orenstein went to study Gujarat. Geetal Seed also went to Gujarat, and Carstairs went and studied in Bihar. So these are certain American anthropologists we have which have contributed to India. Now these people have contributed to tribe, these people have contributed to caste, these people have contributed to urban studies, of course the ruler and peasant theories, then they have contributed to political anthropology. Okay, these people have also contributed to psychological anthropology. By doing psychological profile by Geetal Seed. Okay, Ruth Benedict also applied this thing. So this is something that they have contributed. Apart from that, we have extensive coverage on Jajmani system. So you can say here social contribution. Okay, so that is all about the anthropology is 3 phase. Now the next phase after FCA is over, that is formative, constructive and analytical, there is an evaluative phase. Now after we study everything, we need to know that we are reaching somewhere, we are going somewhere, right? And this feeling of reaching somewhere and going somewhere brought us to an evaluative phase. Now as far as this phase, that is analytical phase, is concerned, the analytical phase was left where the started from the place where constructive phase ended. So most of the scholars such as Mazumdar, Srinivas, S.C. Dubey, Yoginder Singh, Ghure, Mazumdar, Ayyappan, Iyer, all these people, they were already Iravati Karve, these people were anthropologists, right? So these were the also people who were there in analytical phase. Now moving to evaluative. So what do we get from this thing? That comes evaluation. So when government is going for a census, what actually it is doing, it is compiling a database where people are compiled according to the caste, religion, places, cities, even by income. So the way government have to bring in a scheme, it doesn't have to go through a lot of red tapeism. For that matter, if I am a prime minister of this country and I want to give say 1 lakh rupee to every poor family every year, now that will definitely help me in winning election. But apart from that, how can I do that? How I'm going to find these poor people and how I'm going to distribute them? That is a question, right? So evaluative phase is something that comes after analytical phase. Analytical phase comes after constructive phase, and which actually comes before the formulative phase. So as a prime minister, in my formulative phase, I'll collect data. In the constructive phase, I'll analyze the data and I'll compile it in certain sections. And then there is an FCA, analytical, where the compilation will be done. And then evaluative, I'll just put the button and money will be distributed. So that is something of an evaluative. Now we are going to do just a small topic in this evaluative: applied and action anthropologist. What do I mean by applied and action anthropology? Is a simple fact that what people will do, or what government will do, is they'll basically contact an anthropologist when he or she has to prepare a plan. Now, in order to have a better plan execution, the government needs to make sure that there is a little reduction. Just take an example: cheetahs are being introduced in India, Kuno, Palpur, which were from Namibia. They were imported. Now the thing is that cheetahs, when they were introduced in Kuno, Palpur, Kuno sanctuary, so there was no problem to the nearby community which were living there. For example, for that matter, Bhils live over there. So the communities had no issue with introducing cheetahs. But now cheetah doesn't eat grass, okay, and cheetah is also not capable of for going behind a bison, or for that matter buffalo and etc. That rarely happens. So what do actually cheetah rely upon? Cheetah mostly relies upon the deer, rabbits and etc. But deer is something which is not which is sort of a tabooed animal or totemic animal, or an animal that is people stay away from, and government had no idea, and hence it faced certain sort of resistance. And now I know that in mainstream media it is not discussed anymore, but that happened. It could have been avoided if applied and action anthropologist would have been in a picture. Now what do I mean by that is a simple fact that if an applied anthropologist he studies from A to Z. He doesn't leave anything. He studies the society, he studies the relation, he also understands the fear, the religious belief, and that is how that person is able to get the things on board. Now we have studied a thing which will remind you: NMS complex. That is nature, man, spirit complex. Nature, man, spirit complex, the Maler, if now you can remember, the Saurya Paharia. As ancestors were believed to rest or live in the sacred mountain, and then there wasn't this sort of a resistance. So applied anthropologist and action anthropologist, the role of applied anthropologist is that they themselves will participate in this all mess which is happening. Action anthropologist, he himself will do the things. Applied, basically he'll give his recommendation that this should be done, this should not be done, etc. Action anthropologist, that he himself will be doing all this stuff that he is actually saying. So that is the difference between these two. And I hope this two, if these terms come like applied anthropology and action anthropology, you know that this is not the first time that you have heard of it. When we'll be doing, the 4 branches of anthropology, applied and action anthropology will cover it over there in the paper 1. Right now you need to know that there are 2 branches extra, applied and action anthropologist. That is possible. Okay, now in the evaluative phase, certain things that have been left is that there have been studies which are say humanistic studies. Okay, then there are some certain studies like peace study, war study. Okay, certain sort of institutions are also being practiced now. For example, for that matter, I mean Srinivas, he also have done studies, studies of the self, developmental studies, psychological studies, and a lot of studies like medical anthropology, religious anthropology, political anthropology, and etc. These have been main topic of discussion as far as evaluative phase is concerned. Now this particular unit of growth and development is complete. Next we move and we are going to deal with Indian anthropologists. But before that, what you people are going to do? So you're going to refer to any notes on this topic. Mostly people either go for brain tree. People also read Hasnain. People go for Maniratnam Reddy. Okay, then Makhanja. Okay, these are a lot of books, and I am someone who will tell you very honestly, I have not gone through any of them. Okay, and still I was able to score 261 marks. Now the thing is that you do not need to go through all these books, because this is not something which is required. Okay, you have to make notes on each and every point what we are doing over here. So you're going to use internet for that matter, and you're going to find a page anywhere, and you're going to write notes of that particular topic right over here in your copy, and you're going to learn everything from this video session. These will be more than sufficient and something that will help you fetching good marks. That is one thing that I really wanted to tell you. So yes, that is something I think I'll conclude at this moment. So have a great day ahead, and thanks for watching. And if you need anything, please drop that in the comment box too.